Joining me right now is former Undersecretary of State for Economic Growth, Energy and the Environment and co-founder of the Center of Technology Diplomacy at Purdue, Keith Krach. Keith, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here.
Good morning,
I want to get your take on this back and forth over Taiwan. We know that the current policy in place is such that America has committed to arming Taiwan, helping Taiwan fight off the potential for an invasion. But nothing beyond that, right? Keith, what do you see a change in the way Biden is talking about Taiwan post that meeting with Xi Jinping this week?
Well, you know, Maria, President Xi wants to gobble up Taiwan. You know, that's his crown jewel. And I'll tell you what, we have to stand with our friend Taiwan. They're a role model for democracy in the region, actually around the world. And they're such high-tech superpower, particularly when it comes to semiconductors. And the key to defending Taiwan lies in the power of assembling, you know, a network of trusted partners to serve as a security blanket. You know, Maria, when I went over there as the highest-ranking State Department official in 41 years, I was greeted with 40 fighters and bombers. And we have to be clear that not only us, but our allies are going to protect them. And this is why, for example, doing a TIFA leading up to a free trade agreement is so key, because that creates a halo effect for U.S. private sector investment. And then allies come in and they invest in it as well. We've got to take a tough stance when it comes to Taiwan. And you heard what Xi said, where he talked about playing too close to fire. Somebody's going to get burned in that meeting. I mean, that was a threat.
You mean Xi is threatening, or?
Yeah,
the threats are coming from Xi Jinping.
Drawing the line in the sand. And he said any pro-independence, any pro-democracy is going to be met with force. And, you know, I'll tell you what, the wake-up call was what happened in Hong Kong, where their security forces came in and eviscerated totally the freedom of the citizens for Taiwan, or excuse me, for Hong Kong. And that's what's going to happen to Taiwan if we don't take a tough stand.
Right, because, you know, Xi Jinping could end up doing like a soft invasion. I don't know if the Hong Kong invasion was a soft invasion, but it wasn't this, you know, major military invasion. It was walking in there, throwing freedom fighters in jail, taking over and just start, you know, laying the Chinese law down. Why was this not brought up either on the call? I mean, what is going on with this administration, in your view, Keith, in terms of this soft touch, tiptoeing around Xi Jinping? He did not bring up the origins of COVID-19. We know for a fact that this administration, triggered an investigation into the origins of COVID-19, and China said we are not participating. So, you know, why are they stopping any, you know, investigation into the origins of COVID-19 so that we can ensure this doesn't happen again? Biden doesn't even bring it up. He doesn't bring up Hong Kong. He doesn't bring up the continued decades of intellectual property theft. All of these issues were front and center in your administration, the Trump administration.
You know, you've got to talk about these elephants, you know, right in the room. You know, when you look at 5 million people dead because of the pandemic, I can tell you what, our team was responsible for infectious diseases at the State Department. All roads lead to Wuhan virology lab. The emperor has no clothes. It's incumbent on Xi to prove that he's not guilty. He won't let anybody do the investigation.
Right, but I'm talking about Joe Biden. I'm talking about. I know that. We all know that, Keith. We know that. I mean, obviously, China is culpable because there was a major cover-up going on, from cornering the market in PPE to just covering up when this actually started in Wuhan. But Joe Biden won't bring it up. Is he conflicted? What's the problem? Why not confront China on the origins of COVID?
By the way, it ought to be, hey, you did it. You've got to prove otherwise, and you're not letting us in there. And you've got to talk about those kind of things. You know, the other big one, Maria, too, is their techno-economic aggression. You know, globalization assumes that everybody plays fairly, but when you have actors like the CCP, I mean, think about it, Maria.
Yeah.
If I could steal your intellectual property, if I don't have to be transparent, I can use slave labor. I can use these coal-fired power plants. I don't have to obey the law, or I am the law. I'm going to win every time. And you know, the big statement was made about, hey, we want to make sure things don't go to conflict. Well, we already proved that it doesn't need to go to conflict to compete. And you remember,
and now we're all supposed to, and now we're all supposed to think that the Olympics in February is something to celebrate in Beijing. The White House apparently is expected to announce that the president and other U.S. government officials will not attend the Beijing Winter Olympics, according this morning to a report. But this is a diplomatic boycott. It's intended to be a way to respond to China's human rights abuses without actually saying anything. So your reaction to that, because it's really not doing anything to say that they're not going to attend. First of all, Xi Jinping already said he doesn't want any foreigners there.
You know, Maria, I look at the Winter Olympics as an opportunity, and we need help from the private sector. I mean, I would call on NBC, who covers the Olympic. You know how they have those little short takes, those little mini documentaries? Let's talk about what's the genocide that's going on in Xinjiang. Let's talk about the evisceration of freedoms in Hong Kong. Let's talk about the concealment of the virus resulted in the pandemic. We should be talking about those things during the Olympics.